Jackson Carter, the brilliant mind behind the wildly popular coffee chain Emerald Roast, wasn't just a successful CEO. He was a man with a mission. Jackson built his business on core values: equality, excellent service, and opportunity for everyone. He wanted every customer to feel welcome and every employee to treat people with respect, no matter who they were. Despite his towering success, Jackson never lost touch with the everyday experiences of his customers. He often wondered whether his employees were living up to the company's values. To find out, he made an unannounced visit to one of Emerald Roast's busiest city branches. But this wasn't just any visit. Jackson went undercover, trading his sleek suits for a simple hoodie and jeans. To anyone watching, he looked like just another customer. The moment he stepped inside, the store was buzzing. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air as customers chatted and baristas rushed to fill orders. Jackson smiled, excited to see his employees in action. But something quickly caught his attention: a blonde employee standing behind the counter. She wasn't rushing or helping customers. Instead, she was leaning on the counter, scrolling through her phone as a line of customers waited impatiently. Jackson stepped forward, his warm smile aimed at the employee. "Excuse me," he said politely. "Could I get some help, please?" The employee, whose name tag read Madison, barely glanced up from her phone. With an exaggerated sigh, she rolled her eyes and muttered, "I'm busy. Go wait like everyone else." Jackson blinked, momentarily stunned by her rudeness. He stepped back into the line, observing as Madison casually put her phone away and began helping customers. However, Jackson quickly noticed a troubling pattern. Madison smiled and greeted white customers with warmth, taking their orders quickly and chatting pleasantly. But when customers of color approached, her attitude shifted. She became cold, dismissive, and rushed them along without so much as a smile. The tension in the room grew as Jackson waited patiently. When it was finally his turn again, he approached the counter, determined to see if her behavior was a mistake. "Hi," he said with his usual friendly tone. "I'd like a medium latte, please." Madison didn't look up. "We're out of that," she said flatly. Jackson frowned. He had just watched her make the same drink for a customer moments earlier. "Are you sure?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. Madison crossed her arms and gave him a sharp look. "Try another store," she snapped. The room seemed to fall silent, and Jackson felt a mix of disbelief and disappointment. Was this how his employees treated customers when they thought no one important was watching? Without another word, Jackson nodded and walked out of the store. He had seen enough. The situation wasn't just about poor customer service. It was about something much deeper and more troubling. As he walked back to his car, his mind raced with questions. How many other customers had experienced this? How many had walked away feeling disrespected and unwelcome? Jackson knew one thing for certain. This wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. Jackson walked out of the store that day without saying a word about who he really was. But inside, he was deeply troubled. This wasn't just about bad service. It was about blatant discrimination, something he had worked hard to keep out of his company. Back at Emerald Roast headquarters, Jackson wasted no time diving into the matter. He pulled up customer feedback and employee reports from the city branch he had visited. What he found only added to his frustration. Complaints about rude service and unfair treatment kept popping up, many of them mentioning a blonde employee. Some customers even suggested they felt unwelcome because of their race. It didn't take long to connect the dots. Madison had a history of this behavior. Jackson also discovered that Olivia, the store manager, hadn't filed any official reports. Determined to get to the bottom of it, he invited Olivia to a private meeting. At first, Olivia seemed hesitant. She admitted she had noticed Madison's behavior but hadn't said anything. "Madison's popular with some of the staff," she explained nervously. "If I called her out, I was worried it would cause tension. I didn't want to make things worse." Jackson listened carefully, his expression calm but serious. He assured Olivia that creating a fair and welcoming workplace was more important than avoiding conflict. He thanked her for her honesty, but made it clear that allowing such behavior to continue wasn't acceptable. With Olivia's cooperation, Jackson started planning his next move. 1 week later, Jackson returned to the same Emerald Roast branch, but this time, he wasn't in casual clothes. Dressed sharply in a tailored suit, he walked in with a small team of executives. The sight of them caused the store to fall silent. Customers paused mid-sip, and employees whispered nervously among themselves. Madison, oblivious to what was about to happen, was chatting with another employee when Jackson called for a staff meeting. "Can I have everyone's attention, please?" he said, his voice steady but commanding. The staff gathered in the seating area, their faces a mix of curiosity and worry. Madison leaned against the counter, still scrolling on her phone, until she realized who was speaking. Her eyes widened, and she quickly tucked her phone into her pocket. "My name is Jackson Carter," he began, his tone firm. "I'm the CEO of Emerald Roast." Gasps filled the room as Madison froze, her face turning pale. Jackson scanned the room, his gaze finally landing on her. "Last week, I visited this store undercover. I wanted to see how customers were treated." He locked eyes with Madison. "What I experienced was unacceptable. I was ignored, dismissed, and lied to. And from the complaints I've reviewed, I'm not the only one." Madison stammered. I didn't know it was you." Jackson raised a hand to silence her. "It doesn't matter who I am. Every customer deserves respect, not just the ones you think are important." The room was tense, and Madison's usual confidence had vanished. She muttered weak excuses, but it was clear they wouldn't help her now. Jackson finished with a message to the entire team. Emerald Roast was built on the idea that everyone is welcome. This behavior has no place here and will not be tolerated. As Madison sat in stunned silence, Jackson prepared to deliver the justice she had coming. This was more than a lesson for her. It was a statement to everyone about what his company stood for. Jackson continued addressing Olivia. "Olivia, I understand the challenges you've faced, but as a leader, it's your responsibility to ensure this workplace reflects our values. I'm giving you the tools to succeed." Olivia nodded, relief and determination in her eyes. Jackson then announced sweeping changes across all Emerald Roast locations. "Starting today, we're implementing mandatory diversity and inclusion training for every employee. These sessions will focus on treating every customer with respect and ensuring that Emerald Roast remains a space where everyone feels welcome. We will not wait for problems to arise. We will address them proactively." Word of the incident quickly spread. Social media exploded with posts applauding Jackson for taking swift and decisive action against discrimination. Comments flooded in from people who admired his leadership and praised Emerald Roast for standing up for its values. For Jackson, the experience was a reminder of why he had started Emerald Roast in the first place: to create a business that not only served great coffee but also stood for something greater.